We're focusing very heavily on parasport. Now, there are history-making elements within our very big picture in this country, Ghana. I'm saying this because, as we speak, the president of the African Paralympic Committee is Ghanaian. Well, the president of Ghana's Paralympic Committee, Mr. Samson Deen, was elected some months ago, and so far he's been in office and has been pushing very hard and working behind the scenes to ensure that the very first edition of the African Para Games comes off and is hosted successfully. Now, do remember that Ghana is also about to host the Africa Games, and there has already been one postponement, and the Olympic Committee is working, or the organizing committee, the local organizing committee is working very hard behind the scenes to ensure that all of the time gap that has been established will be closed up and Ghana will have a successful event organized. So where are we regarding how organized we are as a body and as a setup to ensure the successful hosting of the very first Para Games? How much priority are we placing there? And are we going to meet the deadlines? Because as we speak, we've got just about 2 months to go. Where are we? That's why we're bringing you this special edition as we have a conversation with the president of the African Paralympic Committee, Mr. Samson Deen. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Nat.
Yeah. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Been a while.
Yes, I've been around.
Yeah.
For you, I've always been seeing you on TV. So.
Well, congratulations again on being elected the APC president.
Yeah.
We saw what you did in the background in the lead to this one, and would say that it's very much deserved. Now there is the major challenge, if I may put it that way, or there's a major assignment to undertake. Before we get to that assignment, let's talk about office, the time so far, work, bringing everybody together to move in a certain direction. How has it been for you so far?
Yeah, thank you so much, Nat, and to your viewers. It has been a great experience. I think I'm getting near to my a year and 6 weeks now, 6 months, so 1.5 years at this position, and it has been a very great experience for me as a person, and for me to understand the difference between playing major roles in football as playing major roles in disability sports. They are distinct difference. You can't compare the two together. At times you feel like there is so much interest, there is so much care, so much support in football, and there is low turnout when it comes to support for persons with disability in sports. So it has been a great experience, and I think that when we are talking about people who have gained much experience, having to understand the dynamics of how we should manage sports, I'll be one of the people who have a better understanding on how to operationalize the system.
Let's talk about your engagements with fellow, NPCs across the continent. Where are we when it comes to the appreciation of parasport and where we should place it on our scale of preferences and our scale of relevance?
Yes, I think that parasports in Africa is not much popular, and pardon me, I always want to compare to football because it's one of the popular products on earth when it comes to sports. Maybe Indians and other parts of the world will compare, will say cricket is popular, but if you come to Ghana, it's not as popular as football. Because taking the scale of preference, you can say that out of 200 and so, we have 200 solid who are football nations, where governments do support. In Africa, we have a major problem. The major problem is that we have political heads sitting somewhere, and we have the Western world dictating the pace for our political heads because they have advanced in the development of disability programs, and they rather invest in the promotion of inclusion of persons with disability in sports. And for that matter, political heads just decide to play rhetorics with the agenda of promotion of the sport. But when it comes to reality, they do not do what it is that is meant to develop the sport. So in Africa, my experience and my engagement with most of the NPCs, I can tell you that only 3 nations, only 3 out of the 54, if I should add Ghana, the 55, only 3 nations has solid programs that says and that protects persons with disability in sports. And even where you can see that the chain of inflow of support is so very solid. We talk about
3 nations.
3 nations. South Africa, talk about Egypt, and we talk about Morocco. These are only 3 nations that you see they have solid programs and they have so much, their persons with disability are so much dear to their heart. They have programs that is being managed and that is seeing them develop in the sports. So with what I have seen and what is currently going on, if the African Union don't change the style, don't try to make it more realistic, and they continue to make it look like rhetorical statements when there are days for celebrating the person with disability days, we hear all manner of speeches and speakers and all that. It is not the same when it comes to implementation, when it comes to trying to give opportunity to everyone. We are not equal. For me, I have come to realize that there are no equality. It's just rhetorical. So out of 100, I would say it's only 3%.
I see.
Yes,
that's worrying.
Yes, very, very worrying.
So engagement-wise, do you see any commitment being shown by the rest of the 97%? Do you see any other governments making an effort at least?
It has become a responsibility. I have taken it upon myself to create that avenue where I will be, where I've already started meeting the political heads of their ministries of sport, engaging them, trying to understand how the others have done it perfectly and how we can also get those who are not doing it to do it well. After knowing how Morocco, Egypt, and South Africa are doing theirs, I paid courtesy visit to those nations to understand how they are doing it. And for that matter, engage the African Union through their sports directorate headed by Dr. Chipande to see how best we can work together as a team to rather make inclusion and disability sports more visible and more appreciable by our political heads of the various ministries of sports. So I have started doing this, but unfortunately, sports in itself is also a political terrain where command is very, very important. You can appreciate the fact that whilst we are looking at bringing African Union to appreciate the agenda, our colleagues from the other side now, which is the Olympic, also want to bow out of African Union. Why do I say so? You see that the promotion of inclusion and the major festival, a program that we can use as a platform to sell our agenda in sports, has always been the African Games. And if you look at the African Games currently, it's being owned by the African Union. If you come to the Parasite, it's owned by the African Paralympic Committee. So I can say that the Paralympic Games in Africa is owned by me. When I say me, I mean because I'm the head of the African space, I say it's owned by me. The Olympic side is owned by African Union. But now, just last week, Anoka has announced that the next competition after Ghana will be managed, owned by Association of Olympic Committees, so which is Anoka. So now you will now come to understand that now African Union will now have it difficult to have control over the 2 areas of sport, Olympic and Paralympic. Why am I saying we own it? In the program of African Union, they do not have projects and programs that is aimed at promoting Paralympic sports in Africa. Hence the reason why we have that minute 3% who are doing it so perfectly in Africa. So those has always been the difficulty, and we think that moving forward, we will have to work as a team, Paralympic and Olympic, to see how best we can work together, and now how we can also raise enough resources to help the promotion of the sports in Africa. I would rather always advise agencies, donors, and all that to rather prefer to work with we, the Paralympic committees, rather than channeling all their resources to governments.
You want direct?
Direct. It should be direct. That is how they can see the outcome, they can see results, because we understand the field. We know our numbers. We know the detailing of the work that needs to be done better than the government. For the government, they will manage the whole system as a whole project. For instance, speaking about disability, it's a whole program. But when we're talking about sports, it's a different section. So we are talking about sports that we will use to promote inclusion in the system.
If you just joined us, we're having this conversation with the president of the African Paralympic Committee, Samson Deen. Now, Ghana is just 2 months away from hosting the first edition, the very first African Para Games. It sure is a historic event that's coming up by its definition and by its name. But how historic would it be in terms of the levels of organization and what it will leave on the memory of everybody who will participate in the rest of the world? That's why we're having this conversation here. We're glad you're here with us on this channel. Now let's zoom in on the games. In September, Ghana is supposed to host the rest of Africa. Let's begin with infrastructure. It's an area that is of sole interest and great interest to all. Where are we regarding infrastructure? Because for parasport, you need specialized infrastructure.
Thank you so much for this question. But before I jump to answering the question, let me use this opportunity to say a very big thank you to the government of the Republic of Ghana, the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and his political head at the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Honorable Mustafa Yusuf, for accepting to host the Para Games for the first time on the continent. You know, Ghana went to bid for the African Games. And during the bidding process, as I've said earlier, Para wasn't included in the program by the African Union. And for that matter, the host nation only has the right and mandate to host Olympic or able-bodied sports. During my campaign, I requested that the government of Ghana should support and should look at the need for the hosting of Paralympic festival in Africa. And Ghana should take advantage of it hosting the 13th African Games and take advantage to use Para as a test event. Yes, the Minister for Youth and Sport agreed to this particular suggestion and thought that this was a very good platform and a contributing factor that Ghana, being Africa's prime country in terms of leading a lot of agenda, social intervention and programs in Africa, they thought that yes, this is a very good agenda for Ghana. It's a very good agenda for the continent. It's also aimed at promoting inclusiveness in the system and also promoting parasports. So on the 5th of January 2022, I invited the president of the International Paralympic Committee, Andrew Parsons. We paid a courtesy visit to the president of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. That was when the president gave the go-ahead, encouraged the sports minister to work with the African Paralympic Committee, the National Paralympic Committee of Ghana, the International Paralympic Committee to make sure that Ghana staged a multi-team sport for the African Paralympic Games. And that was how come we, on the 24th of February, the Minister for Youth and Sports announced an LOC, which is chaired by Dr. Chris Boadi-Mensah, to lead a 6-month course to make sure that we host the first ever African Para Games from the 3rd to 12th of September 2023. Yes, we are most grateful to the government of the Republic. We are happy with the kind of support the President has offered us. We are asking that with that kind of support, we think that the government should do more in making sure that the facilities are ready for the games. But unfortunately, as we speak, it will be a bit of difficulty for us to have an opportunity to stage the games at the multi-purpose spot, which is being built at Boteman. There is a bit of delay, and we had to scan through Accra, Greater Accra, to look for facilities to stage the games, where we are happy to do basketball at Eden Height in Weja. And then the Bukom Emporium will also host sitting volleyball. We have the Accra Sports Stadium to host football and tennis. And then the Lagos Stadium, if we are lucky, but per the reports we received last week, it indicates that we might not be able to have the Lagos Stadium for athletics in September.
Why?
The facility is not ready. As we speak, there has been the tracks are not fixed yet. And if you want to stage an international qualification event at the stadium needs to be certified. And for that matter, since it hasn't been certified, tracks are not fixed and all that, it will be very difficult for Ghana to host athletics, which is the most popular sport in para sports. So for that matter, we had a stakeholder consultation, stakeholder meetings with the international federations, and at the same time, the entire African membership, where we have made a bit of proposals to postpone the games from September to November, in able to accommodate these challenges and also try to fix the challenge before time. So the facilities are not ready yet.
Are you getting that cooperation that you require for this date to be pushed?
Yes, for the African membership, they are in support of every decision that I take, because they think that this is a major event. This is a festival that will bring the government of the African continent to appreciate the sports better. This is an event where we can sell the para-sports situation in Africa, a better platform for them to be recognized in the region. And for that matter, the membership are so happy with us. If you look at the international federations, they are also happy to find means and how to make sure that they help us host this event, and also have granted the sports a qualification to Paris 2024 Paralympic Games. So although it's not the best to say, but everybody seems to appreciate, and they are all on board.
Let's talk about the mascot.
Yeah, sure.
Explain the concept behind this mascot.
Yeah, thank you very much. The mascot, I'll give the credit to our senior brother, Rex Dankwa. Very brilliant gentleman. He has so much vast experience.
Sure.
And during the consultation period to stage these games, I've always gone to him to consult him, to ask for his opinion and directions. And he suggested to me that if he looks at the Ghana as a country, as a nation, he thinks that there are so many ways we can promote our products. And cocoa, for that matter, you see, this is cocoa. Coco. This is Coco. You find that is Coco. And for that matter, we should use the Coco, and if you the Spanish we call it cacao. So Coco as a mascot, and then you will find that the mascot has 2 legs, but unfortunately we have the other one amputated, where he's using a prosthetic to walk. Happy and joyously, you see that the mascot is very happy in a kente woven dress with a short pants, and we in the Ghana flag. We are here to launch this mascot on the day of the Chef de Mission conference, where we will have our team detailing the pieces and bits of every aspect of the mascot. But the credit goes to Mr. Rex Dankwa.
Well, big salutes to Mr. Magnus Rex Dankwa, a fantastic gentleman when it comes to this space. Yeah. And I personally also saw a lot that he did when he was putting in this bid.
Yeah.
Let's look at the reality of the situation. Even if we're able to get a date shifted, how much can we salvage, and how fast can we move to ensure that the venues that we've chosen will be compliant?
Yes, I think that I will be very, very clear with whatever I'm saying, that with the kind of support received from the Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports, Mustafa Yusuf, I think everything is doable. Even with the September, if not for the tracks, I would have said that we are ready to host it. The Accra Stadium needs some painting works, fixing of the restrooms and all that. Bukom, and we need some branding and painting works. Wager, the Eden Heights basketball arena, doesn't need any upgrade at all. And for that matter, facilities-wise, I can say that 3 is okay. And if you look at Kempinski Hotel, where we intend to host the para-powerlifting event, is also a luxurious venue to be used. It's our only worry and our problem is with regards to the tracks. So readiness, I would say we are ready. I would say we wouldn't have any challenge moving forward. It will rather give us some rooms to also operationalize some a bit of small administrative work that needs to be done, and to help the African nations also prepare along, because the time frame that the board of the African Paralympic Committee chose to host the program, we knew 6 months was a very short one to stage the event, but we wanted to do it by all means. And we know if we had not chosen this time, we would have been a bit sluggish, a bit slow in taking decisions and all that. But it has really pushed us, and I would say that we are getting there.
How much would it cost us to host the very first Paralympic Games?
5.5 million euros.
5.5 million euros?
Yeah.
Okay. So far, how much of it have we raised?
Yes, we've started the sponsorship drive not long ago, just last month. We have been speaking to a lot of the corporate agencies, and we've had positive feedbacks. All because, from 24th of February to date, we are barely about 3 months and some few weeks. And you appreciate the fact that it has been a bit of difficulty. The rest of the funding, as the president proposed, was that the government will cough in some about 2.5 million, and the rest we will have to look for it. We've already engaged a lot of agencies abroad and all that. We have had positive vibes, positive response. Republic of Korea has donated a full 40-footer container of equipment to Ghana. Japan has done the same, and we have other countries, United States. We have the UK who are currently organizing it. We are getting full support for equipment-wise. So they will all reduce the costs of the budget. And also, we have been able to plan a strategy where the participation of each country, there will be a bit of contribution on that. That hasn't happened because this is the first time. So we want to do what is doable for the next one. And for that matter, we are not accommodating every expenditure on the head of the host nation. We are trying to make sure that every African nation contribute towards it. And for that matter, the next one, if we are able to reduce the cost, the better on the head of the government, the better, so that the host nation will take it. But for the first time, because we knew it was going to be difficult, we tried to put in a lot of things that will make sure that we are able to host the games.
In wrapping things up, I would like to know the level of collaboration with the various parasport associations. What's the situation? Because while we host, we also have to make big impact and possibly do some host and win agenda of some sort.
Yeah, I think that before I became the president of the African Paralympic Committee, we had various parasports. It was associations, but you only see them as an athlete, and some few people, they are associations. But now, I can boast of many.
Okay.
Since I came, we have classifiers in archery, coaches in archery, classifiers in sitting volleyball, coaches in sitting volleyball. We never had them.
I see.
We have classifiers in boccia and coaches in boccia. We do para powerlifting. We do para athletics. We have classifiers now. We have coaches. We have them on the Para Sports Against Stigma program. We have the basketball having a good team. They just played some tournaments. We have the wheelchair tennis having a very good team too. They have also qualified for the African Games, and if we host, we will win it. We will have the first time having a tennis team qualifying for the Paralympic Games in Paris. The sports has really grown to a point that I would say that Ghana is getting there. And hosting this event is giving us that major boost in terms of equipment, in terms of facility infrastructure, in terms of that exposure in the system. It's really helping. The face is changing, and as you can see, where we are now also gives us a very good picture of what it means to develop sports. For the first time, the African Paralympic Committee has a secretariat in Ghana. We have a secretariat for the National Paralympic Committee. And the LOC also are here to make sure that they manage the sport. We currently have other foreigners who are working with us from Japan, from Korea, from Namibia. So these are the class of the opportunities that we get in getting to make these arrangements work for us.
All right. All the best with it. And when are you going to take a final date on a decision on the date, a final decision on the date?
On the 12th of July. We are meeting the stakeholders again on the 12th of July. This afternoon we are having meetings with some of the international sports federations. And when we are done, we will compile all the information, spread it across, and then we meet and vote, and that is it. We are choosing 3 dates, 26th of November to the 5th of December. And we have another group that is saying we should do it between the 5th of December to the 15th of December. And another group also suggests that we should do it on the 14th of February next year to the 23rd of February 2024.
All right. Well, we'll see how the balloting goes.
Sure.
But President, thank you so much. It's been wonderful sharing your company here.
Thank you.
A conversation just gone by with the President of the African Paralympic Committee, Samson Deen. A lot of work to be done, but a major decision is coming up, and trust us to bring you all of the updates on it and what will be firmed up by the African Paralympic Committee as we look forward to the very first African Paralympic Games. Well, thank you for watching this special edition. More to come here on this channel. Thanks to the whole production team as well. My name is Nathaniel Attoh, and I have love for sport.